Yeah, I agree with Barry in the chat. That was a really great Q&A you did there, Paul and Asa. Thank you again for that. Okay, I've seen quite a few faces reappearing. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a nice little stretch or whatever you got up to. Let's jump right back into it now and hear from some more anthology poets. To give them a heads up, I'll be calling on Billy, Jane, Molly, Peter, Sarah, and then Stan. And again, if you could just give a little introduction for yourself. What year did you take part in the exchange? What's one of your best memories from it? That sort of thing. Or if you just want to read your poem, no worries. There's no pressure to do a big bit of banter. It's fine. So can we give a fire and dust welcome up? First of all, to Billy Ramsell, please.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Billy.
Good to see you all. I'm joined by my research assistant, who's going to hopefully just be a bit quiet while I say my poem. It's a good few years now since I was in Coventry with Mal and Anthony. And I remember Barry and meeting a lot of other people as well. Many of you were here tonight. And I've got a lot of very fond memories of Coventry and the East Midlands as a whole. It was a great experience. I remember the Greyfriars pub, and then I met people from Coventry at a Nick Cave gig a few years ago, and they told me Greyfriars has been discontinued as a pub. But, you know, I'll go back and have a few beers from the Coventry brewhouse sometime and reminisce. The poem I'd like to read for you is, it's part of a sequence I'm working on of fake translations from a Catalan poet called Alberto Senas. And because he's not a real poet, the original texts don't exist, which makes the process of translating them very difficult or very easy. I don't know. You decide. And this poem that I will now read to you is called You Asked. Doris? You ask for something beautiful. You ask for something beautiful, but how? Now all the meridians have slackened, and the time zones between us put on centuries each hour. Now they've melted down the statue of the physicist in the square. Now the fuchsia is burning in piles, with the blueberries and those little blue flowers no one ever really knew the name of. Now every pub is shuttered, and the banjos are skinned with dust in the Department of Silences. Now the database of wind holds every optimistic kiss I settled on your belly, and Tarragona, our city of bonfires, our city of casual drug use and vinyl, is consigned to the archive of snow.
It was a lovely read in there, Billy. And thank you to your research assistant as well. Cheers for joining us, mate. Thanks very much. So it's Billy from Cork. Can we welcome up next Jane from representing Coventry, please? Jane Commane.
Thank you so much, Ray. Thank you for the lovely introduction, and thank you to you and Paul for inviting me to be here tonight and for the beautiful, beautiful anthology that you've produced. I do indeed remember that I think first phone call or email that came into the Coventry office about setting up an exchange about the Twin Cities, and it was just brilliant the year that you came over, because like you said, there was Linton Kwesi Johnson, there was an enormous rainstorm at some point, and lots of people sort of trying to escape the sort of almost biblical rain at the Godiva Festival. This must have been 2009, I think, the first year of the exchange. And since then, it's been just wonderful seeing how the Coventry Cork Poetry Exchange has really flourished, and all the time and care and love that's been put into it in Cork by Paul and everyone at Ó Bhéal, and also in Coventry by everybody who's supported it over the years, Rafe and Anthony and Coventry and all the people involved with the various open mic nights and looking after poets as well. I visited Cork in 2018, I think. I think that was the year my book was out, and I visited with Peter Raynard and Paul and Stan Notte, and Rab was so kind to us. I have just wonderful memories of driving through the night to back from the wonderful event at Dubara, and just incredible countryside, the beautiful beach that Paul took us to, where we did indeed have a hurley stick, and I was really rubbish at it. I think Peter was far better at that than me, but we had such an amazing time. I have really fond memories of the night that at the bar where we performed at Ó Bhéal, just how friendly and kind everyone was to us. And also, just for me, the amazing sort of way that poetry and culture and nightlife is such a big part of things in Cork. I remember Paul saying to us, well, we'll probably start about 9 and then it'll go on till sort of about midnight, and then we'll probably go somewhere else afterwards. And true to his word, at 2 in the morning, Peter and I were still out in the most amazing bar, and you sort of opened a door and it's like something out of Alice in Wonderland, because at the back of this bar in the middle of Cork was suddenly like it seemed like another 4 bars, the entire metropolis of, sort of big arcade and people, it was just a wonderful experience. It felt like we had dreamt it when we came back. And just the kindness, the hospitality, that's just been always such a big part of the exchange. I'm so grateful to have been part of it, so thank you. And it's lovely to be marking the exchange with this beautiful book, so here's to many more. The poem that I'm going to read to you is called The 9 Times That Women Did Something of Note. 1. When she bit through the piss and chose knowledge over hero worship. 2. That time it was nothing to do with her body or anything her body had done or could be blamed for. 3. When she took all of those ofs, mother ofs and daughter ofs and wife ofs, and carried them in a knotted Hessian sack to the top of the hill, and opened the sack's limp mouth and let them fly free. 4. When her name was written off and written out, so she dipped a finger in calendared blood and wrote the red X of her name on their doors. 5. When she wore her chatelaine girdle hanger, hung with the key latch lifter, shears and drop spindle. Hers is the property, she will cut the hair, sharpen the knives, light the fires. 6. When she was a nursemaid to rebellion, clean sweeper of insurgencies, forger, chief pot stirrer in the fiery kitchens of revolution. 7. When she rode in breastplate and chainmail, when she rode in naked, when she rode in utero inside a great wooden horse, when she shouldered the rifle to protect her sisters and sent the soldiers fleeing like hounds into the woods. 8. The time she concealed about her person a pen and paper, a pocket full of isotopes, a pirate galleon, a strange electronic noise, and previously a discovered galaxy of stars. 9. Every time she found a pleasure all of her own and saw a brand new colour on the reverse movie screen of her shut eyelids. Thank you very much.
Cheers for that, Jane. It's a real strong poem. It's a lovely reading as well. Yeah, a big gratitude to sort of Jane and Nine Arches Press as well for making sure we got some funding for to go towards this, and hopefully next year's exchange as well. So thank you for your help with that. Can we wrap up next from Cork? Molly Twomey, please.
Hello. It's really, really nice to be here. So I didn't I didn't go to Coventry. So probably, yeah, Jim isn't here, so probably the only one here who's never been to Coventry. Yeah. I had a great time not going to Coventry though. Probably, Africa was speaking about it earlier. My favorite experience was the radio with Keith. I just found I was really nervous as well. It was one of the first events, so I was like, oh God, I'm going to say something embarrassing. And then she was just so nice, and it was really intimate, and it was just, I don't know, it was lovely. It was a really, really, really good experience for me. And I am hoping, obviously, to get to Coventry at some stage. Yeah, fingers crossed. Exactly. It was brilliant. It was such a great experience. Yeah, and one day I will get to Coventry. I'm just moved back to Cork, so unfortunately, my copy of the book is in Waterford with my parents. So maybe they're reading it. Who knows? Yeah. So I will get my hands on it eventually when I find myself back in Waterford, but it's a good place to be in Cork right now, considering the final coming up soon. So yeah, so I'll just go ahead and read my poem. I suppose as well, I just want to say that it's been a privilege listening to everyone's work for the last while, and listening to Paul, because I feel like I should have asked him all those questions before, and I never did. I was just sitting here like, oh, I didn't know all this about Paul. Sorry, Paul. So my poem is called Liz's Kitchen, and it is about my experience of using veganism as a veil for an eating disorder. So Liz's Kitchen. Why did you become vegan? To avoid Battenberg on my birthday, a leg of turkey at Christmas. But I say I can't remember what a ladybird looks like. She adds so much butter to her toast, glides the knife along her tongue, says she had a daughter like me, watched her run suicide drills with a fractured hip, found fists of her hair in the washing machine, a tooth in the sink. Here, she throws me her phone, a red ladybird like a clot of blood. So thanks for listening, guys. Super to be here. Super to be back in Cork. It's hard to leave it.
That was a great reading. Cheers, Molly. Yeah, hopefully we'll get you to Coventry proper. I mean, technically you have same as Emily. You have visited Coventry. She's visited Cork. It just wasn't quite the same as it should be. So we'll need to make sure it happens properly. But yeah, it was great to have you when you came.
Thank you.
Brilliant poem. Thank you for sharing that with us. Can we wrap up next? We're doing well. We're going Cork-Coventry. So we're going to wrap up Peter Raynard representing Coventry.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Jane really took all my words for what I was going to say about the when we were there in 2018. It was a wonderful weekend, and the days we were there from the Monday and the Wednesday. Paul said to me that Cork is a festival city, and the weekend we were there was the Pride Festival, a yoga festival, and I think a knitting festival. We managed to enjoy the Pride, so it was great. The highlight was obviously meeting Paul and Stan, who looked after us so well. And at the Ó Bhéal night, which was on a Monday night, went on till 2 or 3 in the morning. It's definitely the most pissed I've ever been at a poetry night. The name of my poem in the book is called The Fall, and it's a poem after a short film by Jonathan Glazer. He's known for directing girly Radiohead videos, and more recently the weird film Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson, where she plays an alien who lives off the bodies of male Glaswegians. I'd recommend it. The Fall is about the darker side of collective action, like the lynch mob mentality of those who attack people physically or anonymously from the shadows of social media. But it's also a film about hope, which I tried to portray in the poem. Just to say, it comes from my upcoming book next year with 9 arches, which I think I'm going to call Manland, the Fall. The men, faces masked, look up to the man who clings to the tree, the rustle, sweet oak, you know. The gloaming year shouts about, shake the tree, see the leaves, shake him down, see him drop, the men they know, you know. Bark and dance, there he lies, a shivering sin. Gather round, kick and punch, stretch him out, thumb his throat, smile at the flash, snap, snap, the men they know, you know. Snatch him up, noose his neck, the stench, the hole below, the falling rope, the hissing rope, the weight of the man, the smoking rope against the wood, its lash in the dark, the men they know, you know. Look down at the gloom, the dark of the hole, ghost of the fall, the silence below. Away they go, the men they know, you know. Alive, alive, oh, square light above, the gleam of his face, the stretch of his legs, make steps of the hole, arms will not fold as he goes. He climbs to the light, the men they go. He climbs to the light, the men they know. He climbs to the light, they think they know. You know? Thanks very much for having me.
Cheers, Peter. I love it when a refrain works really well in a poem, and that one definitely does. There's good news about your book. We'll keep an eye out for that. Cheers for sharing that poem. Great reading. We welcome up next Sarah James, please.
Hi, everyone. I have so many amazing memories from my Twin City visit, which was, I think it was 2013, if I'm remembering right. So it's kind of hard to pick a favourite. I think we felt like we went everywhere. We went to, obviously we explored Cork, we went over to Limerick, we went to Kinsale, which was just beautiful scenery. And I remember us sneaking into the golf club, which I think was quite exclusive, and we probably weren't meant to just be there, but we went anyway. It was very amazing. And over all of that, meeting everyone and talking with so many poets and listening to so many poets, I think I just came home with that amazing sense of how poetry soaked the city and culture felt over in Cork, which was just wonderful. Thank you. I'm echoing everyone else, but thank you again to Ray from Paul, and to Ant when he was running it, which was when I went over on the exchange, and to everyone involved in making the exchange and the beautiful anthology happen, and tonight as well. Thank you. So my poem is one that came out of last year, actually, of COVID. I spent a lot of time in lockdown cycling. Maybe it felt like the only escape temporarily from what was going on elsewhere. Where earth and air merge. Startled by the creak of my bike, a kestrel swoops across the wet tarmac. A glimpse of something red and still warm from living, gripped in its beak. Its quick-winged silhouette against the sweet sunset disappears into the dark of a thinly leafed tree. My shoes have soaked up an hour's downpour, with no roots to diffuse this, no bark resistant to winter winds, no sleek feathered glide in rhythm with the weather. My focus shifts back to my body's weight, hunched over the handlebars, gasping into the sharp hill before me. Flesh numbs to one with the pedals push onwards, creak by aching creek like a rusty dream. I wonder what it is to be rain, bird or tree, to exist in continual flow between earth and sky. Thank you.
Sorry, my mic wouldn't let me unmute then. Cheers for that, Sarah. That lovely reading. It's quite nice that we've got at least one COVID poem in the anthology, like sort of documenting the time a little bit, like a little time capsule that we've made there. But yeah, it's lovely to hear it read as well. I enjoyed that one. The final anthology poet I'm going to call up, he deserves a special thank you before I call him up, actually, because as said, when me and Asa went over, Paul was away that time, and Stan did look after us while we were there, and he did offer a lot of hospitality to a lot of other people when they went over as well, so he's definitely a big part of the exchange. Can we welcome up Stan Notte, please?
Hi, Rafe, can you hear me? Cool. Thanks for that lovely introduction. I went to Coventry in 2017, I think, and it was just amazing. We had just a great time. Myself and Ciara McCartan went together, and the highlight was visiting the Two-Tone Museum. I'm a massive music fan. Two-Tone had a huge influence on my youth, so to get there was absolutely amazing. And it was my pleasure to show other people around when they came to Cork, Rafe, Raynard, Pete, Jane, all really great days. And I've been back to Coventry since on a holiday, and Jane was nice enough to let me intrude on her poetry night and read a couple of poems, and I really appreciate that at the time, Jane, as well as the couple of free books. That's always a pleasant upside of any trip when you get a couple of free poetry books. So I'm going to read the poem that I wrote specifically for the trip to Coventry, and that I've read, I think, pretty much at every Coventry event I've attended since. And as I said, I'm a massive music fan, and when Paul asked me, was I interested in going to Coventry, the first thing I thought about was an interview I either read or saw with Terry Hall back in the early 80s, and they asked him about coming from Coventry, and he literally said, Coventry is a shithole, nobody should ever go there. And that just gave me a giggle. But then, because I predominantly write poetry using song titles, I thought, well, I'll take that approach to it. So I took a series of two-tone song titles and wrote a poem called Spirit of 79, which, you know, the idea is that it captures that mood that was going on in 1979. There is a bit of a cheekiness, just in case there's anybody out there who, like me, has encyclopedic knowledge of music. Bands like Madness and The Beat released one single on the two-tone label and then moved on to Gold Feet and other places, but there are lots of their titles in here. It's called Poetic License, in case anybody doesn't know, so you can't sue me. So this is called Spirit of 79, after the two-tone label. Every Friday night and Saturday morning, when the young at heart come together to twist and crawl out on the streets, this dirty old town drowns in hairspray, blank expressions, bright lights, and alcohol, the sole salvation of the young, the black, and the gifted. At 4 a.m, Jeanette, a skinhead girl, she's going, they're all out to get you, they're all out to get you. While bad boys make monkey man noises, their requiem for a black soul over and over again. Why, you're wondering now, does this concrete jungle do nothing but drop pressure to get a job on the rat race? Why, you're wondering, is free Nelson Mandela on my radio? Why does the government man believe our land of hope and glory can promise this ghost town better must come, when the dawning of a new era is such a long shot? When every day the young, the black, and the gifted hear the mirror in the bathroom whisper, I can't stand it, they're selling out your future. And prospects are mere calling cards for the government whose overture of it's up to you to get a job. What's that? Is an embarrassment when our house has no money and tomorrow's dream is forever one step beyond tomorrow being just another grey day. So shut up, Mr. Government Man. You don't know, like I know, that in the middle of the night, the shadow of fear is the only noise in this world. How the doors of my heart tighten up when the whine and grind of facing situations too much for one too young tells me my dream is in deep water. How when dawn arrives, I get busy, doing nothing, every day. Saturday night, Sunday morning, the lonely crowd on the streets again. This, believe me, is their dream. Running away from the everyday with a night on the tiles, running away from situations too much for one too young, running away from the madness of the mirror in the bathroom whispering, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. And that's me. And great job on the book, Ray, from Paul. I've said it to you guys already, but it looks amazing. Really nice addition to the collection.
Cheers, Stan. Obviously, I've heard that one a few times at different events. Oh, I may echo in. One sec. Can you guys hear me all right? I hear me a bit weird there. Yeah, cool. Sorry about that. Cheers, Stan. I've heard that at quite a few different events. You've read it, and every time I enjoy it so much. I hear a new bit that I maybe missed before. If people enjoy poets being playful with music titles, Stan does a lot of that. You want to follow him on his social media or something. He's got a lot of great stuff. Thank you for sharing that one with us, Stan. I'm just going to drop a link one more time to the digital version of the anthology in case you want to go have a look at that a bit later on. For those who haven't got a hard copy, it's out there. But Ó Bhéal have very kindly put it up on their website for us all. Yeah, we've heard some great stuff tonight from the book. I mean, the collection overall, it showcases like the poetic talent that our two cities are producing so far. And obviously there's more and more coming over time, and we'll hopefully see way more poets get to take part in exchange and represent their cities. Some of the poets I already knew from exchanges in recent years, but it was so nice to like meet you guys through your poems, looking at the manuscript, and then most of you at these launches, like with the faces and voices. It's been really great.